In the wilderness, Moses had warned the Israelites against taking pagan women as wives. He told them if they did, the women would lead their hearts away from the Lord to serve those gods who could never be satisfied, even with endless child sacrifices and immoral rituals. The corrupt nature of the gods they had adopted played out as national corruption that went all the way to the top. After hundreds of years of begging and threatening Judah and Israel, God allowed them both to be carried out of their land to put an end to their national moral decline. In the book of Ezra, the children of Israel had just returned from more than a generation of exile in Babylon because of idolatry. Now they were back from exile and being given a fresh start in their homeland. And what did they do? They married the women of the land who, once again, threatened the survival of the new nation. And, once again, the problem went all the way up to the leadership, even to the priests and Levites. When Ezra heard of it, he went into mourning and fasting. He fell on his knees and confessed that the Israelites had done the very thing that Moses warned them against, that caused them to be sent into exile in the first place, and that now threatened the extinction of the remnant whom God had preserved. Ezra prayed the entire history of Israel's idolatry. He praised the Lord for having been gracious by giving the Israelites less punishment than they deserved. And Ezra, lacking a remedy himself, ended his prayer by saying, "Behold, we are before you in our guilt, for no one can stand before you because of this." Ezra was so distraught over the recurrence of this sin that he was inconsolable, throwing himself down and crying out loud as he confessed. It created such a spectacle that the people began to gather around him and be caught up in his overwhelming grief. The people had so much respect for Ezra that a group of influential men came to him to console him with a plan to put away the idolatrous women and any children born to them. And Ezra held them to it. This passage is hard for us to get our heads around. It seems so out of character for God, who hates divorce, to allow it in this case. Clearly, this was an unusual time that had threatened the very existence of Israel. But had it not been for Ezra's extreme reaction to this widespread sin, the people would not have been looking for a solution. The nation might have completely returned to the sins of their fathers. There seem to be several lessons here. Lessons about strong and passionate leadership, the patience of God in the face of sin, and about the remarkable response of the people to this unusual demand. But this is a series about prayer. What strikes me about this prayer is Ezra's empathy with God in the face of Israel's return to the mire. With such a passionate response on Ezra's part, God would certainly hear and deeply appreciate Ezra's response. What a great foundation for a relationship with God, feeling the way He must feel and having the overwhelming desire to fix the problems, even when you yourself don't know what to do. Relationships are largely dependent on our ability to see things through the eyes of another. If we want to enrich our relationship with God, we should try to see the world the way He might see it. The only way to do that is through knowing Him and caring enough about pleasing Him to make changes.